Hello, this is Oscar again, curating vampire films at Cinemateket Trondheim. We have 3 upcoming vampire films this week. The first one is Blacula from 1972 by William Crane. Whereas this film is usually classified as a blaxploitation film, it was a series of films which were adaptations of Victorian fin de siècle, late 19th century novels. So Blacula was an adaptation of Dracula, and there was later on Blackenstein a year later, and then Dr. Black, Mr. Hyde. So it is interesting also to see it as a kind of black penny dreadfuls, or 1970s black penny dreadfuls, which were short magazines that used to sell for 1 penny from the mid till late 19th century. And I think furthermore there is something more to this film that made me choose it as part of the Vampire Projections films. It's actually the first film to tackle the idea of capturing a vampire on camera. This was in a way one of 2 starting points of my project, Vampiric Reflections, which is a video essay, as I already mentioned, that analyzes vampiric tropes. So I will talk more about this after the screening, but this is, I think, something that gives it much more than this classification. So this is about Blacula, and it's part of the chapter, the 3rd chapter now in the series, The Image Vampire at a Frequency. And just to mention briefly, the title is due to the fact that the vampire image can have a specific frequency and how it syncs with the camera. And something else to take into consideration in this chapter, the technology of the camera that captures this vampire. Next, we have the film Black Sunday, which also has the title The Mask of Satan by Mario Bava from 1960. Mario Bava was already working as a cinematographer and uncredited filmmaker on some horror and even sci-fi films before. And this was his first solo feature. He also was cinematographer and director. This was, I think, a film that grounded Italian Gothic horror films, and it is supposed to be an adaptation of the Gogol novella V, but it really merely retains some of the elements from the story of, the main witch, which is even a bit more vampiric than a witch. And the film is also set in supposedly in the town of Mirgorod. But also something very interesting in the film, it's mainly or heavily Gothic in aesthetics, the architecture, the cinematography and the lighting, but there is a very, very strange, nice mixture of even Slavic Orthodox aesthetics and iconry, especially. So, for example, there is Saint George, which mainly figures as a 3-panel icons, which are typical of Orthodox icons, and it figures in many parts of the film as an essential figure, or like a drive in the narrative. And also there are more elements like the priest that gives this unique mixture to the film. I'll talk more also about this after the screening. This is part of the chapter 4, which is titled a twin's double tunneling, and because there is a double character in the film, and there's even sometimes eye winks or reminders from even Vampire or the novella Carmela by Le Fanu. And last we have Werner Herzog's Nosferatu from 1979. This is in a way a kind of it is a remake of the original Nosferatu, but also not. It's very own film in a I mean it has a solid standalone status, if I could say. Herzog said about this, I consider the vampire myth one of the richest and most fertile cinema has to offer. The images it contains have quality beyond our usual experiences as film goers. There is fantasy, hallucination, dreams and nightmares, visions and fear. And Herzog wanted to connect the bridge, and this was something interesting also due to the film critic and writer Lotte Eisner, who became friends with Herzog due to when she came on the set of Nosferatu, and she said that his Nosferatu is not a remake of Murnau's masterpiece. It is an uncannily subtle musical theme with ringing, reverberating variations, where a lonely vampire damned to an undeath searches for love. And Herzog also said that the creature is frightening because he has no soul and looks like an insect. But whereas in his own, Kinski's vampire has a real existential anguish. So these are the films that will be showing this week, and Blacula and Black Sunday will be showing as well later on, but we would love you to come and check them out and hopefully take part of the discussion after the screenings.